His point of view is truly like art.
You think you can stop aBeZy? Atlanta FaZe have finally done it.
People have called Crim an onliner.
His ability to play his life against FaZe was incredible.
Crimsix closes it out.
Now you have another contender.
Welcome to Reverse Sweep's Review Show, presented by USAA Insurance. I'm your host, Katie Bedford, joined by Enable and Pacman. And maybe the least surprising part of this major, congratulations to Atlanta FaZe. Back-to-back, they've done it again. 3 out of the 4 majors we've had have gone to them. And it was a close one, though. Our first ever Map 9 in a grand final. They went to the distance. But what you saw about FaZe, what do you think?
I mean, they just showed us why they're the best consistently. Even when they were struggling, clearly their players weren't playing to the best of their ability across the board. They still managed to get it done. The consistency of Simp is impressive. aBeZy stepping up, impressive. Cellium was the player of the entire stage. Like, they just have top to bottom too many potential superstars. So they keep closing that out.
They honestly might be the next dynasty. If you really look at it, you know, if there was ever going to be another super team after that Optic dynasty, it's this team right here. They have the best talent. Their teamwork looks great. They seem to just keep wanting to win. And even when they get tested, like, their floor is the finals right now this year. Like, that's what separates them from maybe other top teams, even in past CODs, where no matter how bad they look, they're gonna be top 3.
Their bad is still a grand finals experience.
Yeah, like it's just crazy.
That is crazy. It's like even before, I would say with the Optic Dynasty, we saw them, they're bad. They'd get like 6th place finishes. 7th place. If this team got 7th place, I would be, first of all, nowadays they start top 6, but if they got 6th place, I would be shocked. Like, actually, truly shocked. Like, what?
I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one of the reasons it might not be very possible, guys, let's take a look at some of the results of the major, how they got there. Well, as we just said, FaZe started in round 2 with a 3-0 sweep over Minnesota Rocker, who had knocked subliners down into losers, granted, without a seam, so a little bit of a caveat there. They go on to 3-1 Toronto Ultra to make it into the grand final, where they had that 5-4 victory over Empire. Other teams, of course, making decent runs. Optic once again getting 4th, seeming to become hard stuck at that wall. Empire with a 3-2 upset over Toronto in the losers finals to make it to the grand finals to challenge FaZe. So FaZe, they can do it, right? Even when up against the wall, even when coming up against a team that's has that loser's momentum, semis win, the loser's final win, they still get it done. So the dynasty conversation, people are gonna look at you and say, it's too early for that, it's too early. When is it not too early? It's
already not too early. I think Ian's right. It's been 2 years, and if you consider even before the CDL, you go back to the CWL, they have a core of the people that won the last champs there too. It's already that time.
I think I saw the stat before that major, they had been to like 13 events as a team, and they were in 11 finals. And then so now after the major, it's probably like 14, 12 finals. I don't know how many wins they have, but like no other team has done anything even close to that since Optic. Yeah. Like that Optic Dynasty team. Yeah. So it's not too early. And I know people kind of hate the Dynasty term, because a lot of people throw it out. Like, people were throwing it out after we went back-to-back on 100 Team Black Ops 4. That's too early. When you've been in 12 finals out of 14 events, you got to start talking about it.
Yeah, and winning 3 out of the 4.
Yeah,
this year, for sure. And continuing it wasn't, I mean, it was a really hard-fought battle, but I wouldn't say it looked like they struggled.
No. I think they struggled to win. That was a really close match, but they still won. And say they came in second, it's still the same talk. Like, they're still the best team is second, and then they would have lost 5-4. Like, it's just ridiculous performance.
So how difficult is it for a team like that to stay on top when you've been winning so consistently?
In terms of one season, I don't feel like it's the most difficult thing, because you always can tell your teammates, and everyone's talking like, we have champs coming up. That's where the biggest prize money is.
Like, focus on that.
The ring, just all the glories at champs. The thing is, after you win champs, I think that it's really hard, because I mean,
it's like, what else?
Yeah, for a while you're not doing much, and then so what else you have to do, and then oftentimes the game changes, and that's when it's hard, especially if the game style changes, because that's what I think kills most dynasties. And not by most, I mean,
unless you're Simp
the only 2 that we've had. Right? No, Simp and aBeZy have never actually played a different style of COD.
Oh, that, like if you're talking like jetpack to boots on the ground style.
Like, so the boots on the ground was complexity. Then we went to jetpack since Optic, and then we went back to boots, and the Optic's dynasty is done. The game style changes, and we've been what do you want to call it? Like the slide canceling COD?
Yeah, I guess that's
like
the best
slippery
way.
boots.
Yeah. Like this is a different style of COD, and they're the best team at it. And if it were to change to something else, that might be something that hinders them.
It's interesting to think about. I will say, in terms of just like them, like being the biggest issue, because most teams, when you win a lot, right, you get a little ego, a little cocky, you don't care as much, the effort might not be there. But with them, I feel like that group of players, they just are, I know everyone says this about everyone, but like they're hungry to win, and then having Chris on top of that, being their coach with RJ, like, there's by far the best team, like from top to bottom.
A reminder too, guys, Reverse Sweep is presented by USAA Insurance. They make it easy to insure all of your stuff like your rigs and gear, and they have your back. Eligibility restrictions apply, and insurance provided by United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas. Now, we've talked a lot about the winners. Let's talk about second place, Dallas Empire. I personally think they had the biggest glow up from online to LAN. They looked excellent. Elite looked really good. Vivid looked really good. So where do you go from here if you're them? What do you think about Dallas's performance, Pacman?
I mean, it was impressive. I actually, when I went to go think about it, I expected them to be a lot better when they hit LAN. I just know people have called Crim an onliner, which to me doesn't make sense. He's the winningest player in the history of Call of Duty.
That's disrespectful.
It's so disrespectful. I just don't understand it. I'd expect them to beat Ultra in that second match, just because I just believe that Ultra is just ridiculous. So when they did that, I was like, wow, this is scary, because now you have another contender, and it's a scary team because they have Schatzy. Like, honestly, Schatzy's, when you watch him, he's the craziest point of view, and he's the only one outside of FaZe where you're like, this guy might be the single best player.
His ability to play his life against FaZe was incredible. In multiple maps, he saved rounds or won them maps just by staying alive for so long.
His point of view is truly like art in Call of Duty. Like, he's the only player who I could watch a whole game and be entertained. Like, even he could have 2 kills. Like, and I'm still just locked in. I was definitely the most surprised by Dallas. I think they were the only team that really surprised me from online to LAN. I don't know if they improved because of that transition, or they're just finally starting to click with Vivid, you know, because it takes a little bit. They still are a very new team with him, but they looked really good. I was surprised because I didn't think that they had it in them.
I think it was more the clicking with Vivid, because even before this, their hardpoint already started to look really good online.
Yeah,
but then
that's true.
But their control was struggling. But then I saw, I mean, I believe they beat Toronto in both controls they played them in over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, I remember there was some very Toronto heavy control, and they did it.
Going into the finals, I think they only lost to Optic in control.
Right. So
the whole major.
So they just started to gel as a team. That's all that's showing you. And then they have ridiculous talent, and they were able to take it.
I want to talk about Vivid too, because Vivid is someone who, and he tweeted about this, right? He did get a lot of flack. He was not quite on Fellows level after Hook, but he was getting a lot of flack because his initial performance wasn't great, but you shouldn't really necessarily anticipate it was going to be incredible when he first came into Dallas. But I think I was very happy to see how Vivid performed, because my question for him as kind of a quasi-rookie / not rookie, you've really only been on mediocre teams. You now are surrounded by top tier talent. How good are you? And I think he showed that he's definitely good enough to be there.
He played great.
He definitely did.
I mean, that's just something you get with experience, by the way. I saw his tweet. John, you could probably, I mean, actually, you might be too old. I don't know if you've been that situation, but like, when you do join a new team, if you don't live up to expectations with social media nowadays, like, you're gonna get cooked.
You're gonna get roasted.
But it's how you kind of get thick skin with the whole social media thing, because that's just how it is. But he proved everyone wrong, I thought, because he was fantastic. Like, I love seeing him and Schatzy working as that sub duo. I think he's only gonna improve with them, because he has some of the best players in the game, like you said. He doesn't have to do it all. He can be more comfortable and, you know, do the bare minimum for them to have success.
What you said is most important, and I still think he has space to grow with that as a player. Like, sometimes he just needs to slow down. Example is actually the very last round when he just kind of gave his life away in a spot where they need to work together.
Yeah.
And honestly, the fact that you can see that in his game and pinpoint where you can try to help him grow as a player.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing for them going forward if they're gonna.
And having someone like Crim, you know, and Rambo, they're gonna get him right.
So let's talk about wait for LAN Optic, which is what a lot of the fans were saying. A lot of the fans were arguing, just wait, which is maybe fair, maybe not. We'll let you guys decide on that. But Optic, they get 4th again. They do get wins over like Seattle, which is cool, 3-2, and I think
Rocker
3-1. But they get 2-0'd essentially by Dallas Empire, out of winners, then out of losers, and they won one map against them. So Optic, what is going on with them, Enable? What is happening?
They just need to make a change if they want to win in this game. Yeah. They're all great players. I think all 4 of those players could be like the superstars on other teams and have success, but they just don't mesh. Like those 4 just don't mesh well when it comes to pacing.
So Karma tweeted about the pacing.
Yeah, they're just, I think their overall ideology of like how to be successful in Cold War, they all have different opinions. And you could see, like they're staggered a lot. Their teamwork is hit or miss. When they win the series is when they have multiple players who are just like on individually and they're shooting well. They never get like that gritty win where no one's playing well and you're still able to like, you have the ability to clutch up.
It's the same issue. LAN didn't change anything at all. It didn't make them better or worse. It's just they don't do well against the top teams. They haven't done well against top teams this entire season. They're unable to adjust in the middle of the game. The first series versus Dallas, I was shocked when I was watching them play the S&D.
Same.
They did the same thing every single round. And
No
that's
adjustments.
okay if you're winning, but they were losing every single round. And it's like, bro, change something. Even if it doesn't work, attempt something, throw a different look. And they never did. They just don't change what they do. They have a set way that they're gonna do things, and that's it. And it works against some people, and then against the other teams, it doesn't, and then they just lose. And it's the same thing over and over. LAN had nothing to do with anyone's performance playing better or worse. It's the same thing over and over with these guys. They have more talent than the other people, so they beat them. And if anything, this LAN was really bad for Optic.
Yeah.
Because now they don't have that whole LAN thing to fall back on. Yeah. And there's another contender that's ahead of them. So yeah, they got 4th, but they only got 4th because ASIM wasn't there.
One of the losers, yeah, exactly. I think that 100%. If you look at how that bracket could have played out with New York in full force, they don't get 4th. I don't think that happens by any stretch of the imagination.
Probably
5,
not.
6, I would think. What about Scump's tweet? So Seth tweeted at same shit, different day, I think was what he said, but he was kind of lamenting that his mental has been bad for the last couple months, and he put aside personal content to try and do this grind, and nothing was working. What do you take, Enable, from Scump's tweet, if anything?
I mean,
Or is it just someone venting?
I know, yeah, it was definitely just someone venting. We've all been there, and I completely agree with him. You know, at the end of the day, everyone on social media only sees the results. Like he said, he stopped uploading videos, stopped streaming. Like they're grinding day in and day out.
He played great.
Yeah, he played fantastic. But the results in the competition, they really determine the competitor's happiness. Like it's really hard to kind of compartmentalize, like after you're done the tournament, like okay, step away. And when you're as big as Scump, when things are good, they're great. When they're bad, they're the worst. You know, he gets the most hate out of anyone. So it's tough. I think the fans take it for granted that they have the ability to really interact with the professional, not even Scump, just professional esports players on a daily basis. So it can be rough and stressful. I think he just needs to kind of reset though and like take a break, be on like his bronze 0 Dark 30 or whatever it is. You know,
he might need to be one of those people, because I mean obviously not the size of Scump, but like maybe one of those people that just tweets and never looks at Twitter, you know what I mean? You never actually, you say what you're gonna say and you're out. Like, I mean, he's nothing left the same, but Skip Bayless does that. He says the most ridiculous things, but he just never looks at the responses, so he doesn't really care. Like, you never...
Because he don't see nobody.
He doesn't want to see anything you have to say. I don't care.
He sees the 30,000 retweets, though. That's it.
Okay, let's talk about Toronto then. Toronto, they got 3rd again. They still look really solid, but this is now the 3rd time in a row I think they've lost to FaZe every time they've played. They lost twice in the major to them last major and then lost this major. So Toronto, I still think they look fantastic. I still think they're the 2nd best team in the game. Do you guys think they're the best team you've ever seen come out of Europe?
Well, I have to think about the other European teams that are at the top.
There's been some good ones.
So you'd have to look at Red Reserve from World War II, which is Zero, Scraps,
Joe,
and Rated. They were really good. They were consistently performing.
Splice and IW.
Splice and IW got a win.
Jerd, Zero, Mad Cat.
Vance. And then
Black Ops 3 Splice as well.
Yeah, which was Vance. Vance rated Joe and Josh. So, I mean, this is probably the best one because of longevity. All those other teams, the only other team that actually got a win was the Splice team in IW, but they weren't consistently good after that.
Yeah.
So this team might be the best simply because they have a win, and then they also are still, like, they blew through their next stage, and then even though they lost and got third here, they still looked really good, and it's just really close games. It might be the best team to ever come out of Europe.
They could be. It's hard though with like the format change, you know. Like I would love to see this team in a tournament aspect, this Toronto team. Because I think one of their biggest strengths is their resiliency and just how they can be able to basically pull a win out of nowhere. But I mean, they got a first and 2/3 and a top 8. I think if they have this success in the last 2 majors, stage 5 and champs, like top 3, top 4, you know, maybe if they can get a second or a win, hands down, they're the best team that's ever come out of Europe for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even this one too, and last stage, I was still like, oh, it's gonna be a FaZe Toronto Grand Final. That's what I had. Yeah, so I think that's a great point. If you're expecting that, that says a lot about how good they are doing as a team. But it's time for the most clutch moments of the major with Got You Covered, presented by USAA Insurance. Level up your gear protection with USAA Insurance. So the most clutch moments, the hypest moments for you guys. I know that mine is going to get taken because I go last.
Go
so
first,
I'll try
Katie.
And come up.
No, go first.
No.
Mine's gonna get taken.
Yeah,
go ahead, Katie. Mine's gonna get
taken. If it isn't, then, well, shame on you guys. So I'll let you squabble over who goes first. But most clutch moment.
My most clutch moment of the major, honestly, I think I'm gonna use it more as a whole. Dallas Empire's reverse sweep on Toronto.
Ooh.
Just because they got absolutely bodied in the first 2 maps of that series. Like I thought Toronto was gonna maybe take it to FaZe and really play fantastic. And then they were just able to claw back into it, especially in the last map.
They were getting speed run.
It was a very long moment, but it was a clutch moment for sure.
The first 2 maps, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I was like, sheesh.
I was like, oh, they ran out of steam, you know, maybe.
It was a good run. It was a good run.
Like, yeah.
But they look good, so that's my pick.
I like that.
So hers can be something with FaZe, so I'm gonna let her rock. I'm gonna give it to.
It's easy reach.
I'm gonna give it to actually from the same series. I'm gonna give it to Schatzy winning the 1v1 against Insight, I believe it was, in the 4-4 round, because that round was actually just crazy in general. Cammy flanks and shoots 2 in the back, but thinks he gets the second kill and is already looking for the third.
That was so tough.
Doesn't get it, and then Insight kills Crim, who makes an unbelievably dumb play, but Schatzy just outplays him in the 1v1 and just. That's what you want out of your best player. That's actually probably deciding whether or not you go to the finals or not. And for me, like that moment right there, it's something that just gets looked over because the next series is game 9. But right there, that's such a huge moment, and he got his team over that.
Both series were great back to back.
No, they were great. They were great.
No, I like that. I think Schatzy, just consistently for Dallas, has been so impressive. Through online and LAN. Mine, yes, you're right. It is from FaZe. How can you not be hyped about Arcitys shooting a cruise missile? Call it intentional or not, I don't care. He shot a cruise missile out of the sky, then got the kills when they had no respawns to clutch up on a control, which was huge for them.
That's fair.
Just from a visual standpoint.
No, that was crazy.
When everyone was like, because even I was like, wait, what? It never connected. It should have killed him in window. Why didn't he die? And then everyone was like, what happened? Did he just wait on the cruise missile for too long so it blew up in the air? And then you realize he shot it out of the sky and you're like, it's just Arcitys, right? He's that good. So for me, I think there was a lot of moments. That one was like the coolest for me of the major. Okay, so those are our clutch moments, guys. As always, please let us know what really, really impressed you, what your clutch moments were. Let's move on to MVPs, the most valuable player. I am someone who prescribes the idea that it doesn't have to be a player from the team that actually wins. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I will let you start, Pacman. If you would like to go first.
At most, they gotta be in the finals.
I would say that's fair.
No, if you win the MVP and you're not on the winning team, you had to be hard.
Yeah, like that guy.
And that's rarely ever the case.
Yeah. But Pacman,
so I'm gonna go with aBeZy, because when they were losing and they were down, aBeZy's the one that turned up. Like he's the one that put in the most impressive performance when it mattered most. I believe in the Moscow hardpoint, he had like 30 kills with 1,000 more damage than everyone else. And then in the last game, he was going off as well. So when it mattered the most, aBeZy turned up like he always does, and that's why he's about to be on a dynasty that no one can deny. He's ridiculous.
I kind of want to give it to someone on Empire, but you are right. Like, it's tough to do. And then also, I don't want to give it to Simp again. But like, I mean, it's no secret. They have literally the best players for each role individually on their team. And they all made crazy plays. I know Cellium got player of the stage, but whenever they needed someone to really go on a streak and kind of gain back momentum, I just thought it was always Simp. I mean, he's been that guy for a while now. I think he's the best player in the game. If you want to argue aBeZy, you could go for it.
I think he had in the 3 hard points in grand final, he had a 1.39.
Yeah.
And he's also putting in damage.
In the control.
It's not just.
He had the most damage on FaZe.
I think that Simp's the best player in this game too.
He's just like, I guess it's crazy. I'm one of the people I can witness and appreciate greatness. Like Simp, we've never seen anything like Simp since Scump in his early days probably. And I don't even know because I didn't even play COD back then. But that's just what everyone tells me. So for me, it's gotta be Simp.
All right, I think I have to go with aBeZy too. aBeZy had so many pivotal plays for them. And Simp is undeniably just consistently dominant. And I think aBeZy, though, is the most explosive entry sub. His ability to make that play, get the kills, he has no business getting, sometimes even doubles when it comes to S&D or anything like that. aBeZy was just phenomenal.
No one can play like aBeZy for sure.
Yeah, throughout the tournament. So something you mentioned before we go to LVPs, I actually want to ask you, Enable, you had said they have the best player for every role. So oftentimes when people talk about a team being good on paper, that team doesn't really necessarily work in reality. Just slapping together the best players in every role doesn't always work. So how rare is it to have a team like FaZe where you do actually have the best players and they also work well together?
It's rare.
It is.
I think the thing about FaZe, at least from the outside looking in, they are all okay with being the superstar or the role player. You know, like when you get a bunch of teams in the past that have multiple players who maybe you could consider them being the best of their role, they all want to be that guy. You know, they're all trying to get a piece of the pie. And I feel like FaZe, it's really such a team game for them and like their culture where it's like, hey, Simp, if you're going off, I'll rotate, I'll hold spawn. And like Simp will have games where Arcitys or Cellium's gone off and he's playing a little bit more of kind of like the dirty work guy. I just think they're an unbelievable team and they're like rare with how they think about the game, I think.
I think it's just like part of what you're saying and they're just on the same page at the end of the day. Like it's hard to get 4 people or 5 people or whatever
however many they got this
to be on the same exact page. And when you get people like that are essentially stars in a role, they're gonna have a certain way of thinking about the game. They think about the game their way, you're gonna think about the game your way. And oftentimes what comes with such talent is ego.
Right.
So it's gonna be hard to convince you that you're wrong because you've been right in the past. You've been right so much and it's just hard to balance. But these guys kind of essentially came up together. So they're just winning together and you build a trust. And I think that's what they have.
All right. Let's talk about LVP, least valuable players. Sometimes more fun to talk about than MVP, sometimes not. LVP, Pacman, Enable, you can figure out who wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Shoot.
I'm gonna go with, oh, damn, I don't know why I said I wanted to go first. I'm gonna go with Formal on Optic.
That's what I was gonna go with.
And I know they got 4th at the end of the day, which is not bad. Not what they want, but it's not bad. There were players who maybe did worse statistically or whatnot, but I just think after the way he presented himself on social media going into this, you probably seen there was a bunch of tweets about how kids are better online and everything and can't wait till it lands back, blah, blah, blah. He didn't play too hot. He did have his series, but he was just wildly inconsistent for me. And that's not the Formal that we all know. The Formal when I played, this guy was just like a guarantee. He's like a guaranteed bucket.
Yeah,
you know, like 1.2, 1.3 every series. Hard kill. And right now he's hit or miss. He's 0.7 or he'll give you that 1.2. So I think he needs to kind of get back in rhythm because Optic has not had good luck with like karma this year.
No,
Not the player like Dashy with the XM4.
He's the one that initiated the shit talk.
Oh yeah, 1000%. Dashy said it to Clay on the XM4, formal, you know, and now it's just
he initiated.
Maybe stop tweeting.
He initiated the shit talk between him and Crim and then lost 2 series to him, like pretty lopsided.
To be fair, his responses after the fact, despite Crim's
were
tweets,
good responses.
They were, hey, he had a right to talk shit. He cooked us 6-1 back out. So.
He's a grown man. It was a mature response.
You gotta hold it.
To be fair, you also, what else could you say?
You can't say.
Oh, I would have been dying on that hill. Monitor I had a delay, controller broke. Like, lights was in my eyes. I don't know. I didn't lose though.
I don't know, because that was my answer. I mean, I guess I'm gonna go down the line. I'm gonna go with someone. Maybe let me just go with the whole team. I'm gonna go with Florida. Because Florida is just forgotten about in this major. And that's because they didn't do nothing. And they lost to the subliners. And forgive me, but the subliners should lose to them in that match.
1000%.
Florida's supposed to be a team that's on the up. Like, they're super close to making winners bracket. They're trending up. They're supposed to be, you know, another contender. And then to lose to a team with the fill-in, I believe they beat LAG, so I'm just not gonna count that. Yeah. They didn't do anything that matters at the major. If I'm taking winners and losers from the LAN, like Dallas is a huge winner. To me, Optic's a loser. Florida's the biggest loser from this LAN. Because now, like, how can you possibly have confidence as a team in trying to be a contender when you didn't beat a team with the fill-in? Yeah. And now there's another contender in front of you. Like, where—
It feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back for them.
That was a huge step back. And it's like, we've been showing that we can do this online, but on LAN we didn't get the win we needed.
I will say Neptune played very well though. Like, I know the team didn't play well, but I thought Neptune played fantastic. And I think that's good for his confidence moving forward as a player, being a rookie. And he's played on LAN before, obviously, Halo 5. But yeah, I don't know. You can't lose to NYSL with a sub, especially when it's ASIM. You know, if Clay's out, you know, whatever. But if it's ASIM, you got to get that series and really try and make a deep run.
Big facts.
So we already kind of touched on mine, but I have to go with Hook because it's just unacceptable. I just have to assume that if it's your first LAN back, there's already controversy, that word, surrounding you. So there's a lot of eyes on Hook. And then you come in and you don't even play the game and they get first rounded by gorillas.
Couldn't believe I was down bad watching that.
It was so disappointing. You know, when back then, when you're like, you wanted your parents to be mad at you, but never disappointed.
Oh yeah, they hit you with that line.
I was just, it was so disappointing to see.
I felt bad because I've been trying to defend Hook for the entire time.
Yeah.
I've been trying, and that was like, that's so indefensible. It's just like,
I
feel like the word is, it's just pathetic, man. You gotta, you have to be better
than that.
It's, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's 50% unfortunate, 50% his fault. Kyler spelled his name right. Like, it was the W, which is right next to the E. Like, so he either like fat
But how do you not double check that?
No. Well, I don't know if he was on his phone, but what I'm saying is, I'm assuming he was with the team the night before, right? If that's the reason why he got an error, I think that is a little, like, if I put John Bob, if I come back with my test negative, like, it should be negative. I shouldn't have an error. But at the same time, I don't ever leave my house without my ID. Like, the next day, he could have still, even with everything that happened. But once I got my ID, I've never left the house without it.
But also, you know, they had a direct schedule. They knew where they were supposed to be.
That's the thing. He was late the next day too, though.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That to me is the bigger issue.
Yeah.
So you spelled your name wrong? I agree. You can type it wrong. It's close. You just didn't check it. Nobody checked your work. Whatever. But if you showed up the next day on time, it would have been fine. You still would have got it done. Yeah. And everything would be fine. So how are you showing up late when you have nothing else to do? You literally can't do anything. There's COVID protocols in place. You show up. You go from here to play because that's what you're here to do. How hard is it to be on time, Ian?
Oh yeah, I was clock was a little late today. I don't know.
So our favorite part of reverse sweep is when Enable says he's 5 minutes late, and you know it's 15.
It's okay, but LA traffic, you know, like I'm predicting 5 minutes.
All right, we'll let it slide. But that'll be it for reverse sweep's review show of major number 4. Enable, Pacman, and I loved what we saw from some teams and maybe not so much from others. Let us know what you think about what we had to say and what you saw at the major in the comments. Until then, guys, we are going to look forward to stage 5. We'll see you then.